So after the video, the previous video on this board where we re-jumpered everything, I realized I had jumpered the board to port 255, 254 and 255 actually, and that was a mistake. That'll interfere with the switch register port in the Altair. So I've changed the A7 strap to A7 not, which will should put the board on port 126 and 127. While looking at the board, I realized that a lot of the original ICs, the legs were heavily corroded. And I just went ahead and pulled all the original ICs out with the exception of the UART and one guy down here. And I replaced everything with just new old stock, just so I'd have confidence in the logic that's on the board. The UART itself requires +5 and -12 volts to operate. And so the first thing I want to do here is just check the power supply. So we're looking at the voltmeter over here. I'm going to get down onto the VCC pin. There's a clip lead back here that clips the ground of the voltmeter to system ground, and I'm just going to bring the power up long enough. See if I've got +5 there. And as we see, 4.96. And now I'm going to try to get up here. That's labeled -12 there. I'm going to assume then that that's -12 volts. Yeah, -12 volts. So the power supply stuff on the board is working, so that's a really good sign. So next, I think, is to actually get into BASIC, get the machine booted, and see if we can exercise the card and get it to do something. So this is a photo of the card that I took before I actually noticed how oxidized a bunch of these pins are. You can see down here just really dark. Mentioned this just in the previous segment where we tested the power supplies. I've replaced all the logic on the board except for the 9601 and the UART itself, just with fresh logic, just to give us the highest odds of things working. I've actually used 1897s in place of these 4367s. You can see here the date code of the UART is 12th week of 76. The original ICs are in that same date code era, and I will put these early ICs back in once I'm convinced the board's working. I've taken data in and data out, and I've just jumpered them together here with a black lead so I can write to the UART and hopefully read back and get back the return data. So the other thing we mentioned before is this I7 has been jumpered to A7 not to change the port the board's on to be port 126 and 127. So let's get the machine booted up here. I do this every time. I bump the font up a bit. I think it'll be easier for you to see on the screen. Let me apply power here. The machines come up. And we'll get over here onto the inside front panel. And I'll go ahead and do a reset. Sorry for the reach. Examine address FF00. That's where the 1702 EEPROM board with the common disk loader, the combined disk loader is loaded. The floppy drive is closed. We run, and I can tell by the sound the floppy's making, we're booting. So we're over here in TerraTerm, and let's get into MBasic. Oops. BASIC takes a bit to load. Uh, 10, remark. Actually, I want caps lock on. Remark. Port 126 is status. 20, remark. Port 127 is data. 34x equals 0 to, actually no, let's go 32, which is a space, to 127. It gives us a good range of characters. 40 out. 127. Actually, I'm going to change that to D. Just, oops. Edit 30, just because I prefer D for the data variable. Change to a D. 50 red data equals import. It should be 127 again, I hope. 60 print hex string data, HR string data, hex string red. So we'll get both the hex value and the character value. D70, next. D. Well, if I'm lucky here, at this point we've got the board working and it'll be able to output and read back the same characters. And holy moly. Well, there it is. That board does appear to be working. It looks like I've got the weird issue again with TerraTerm that I complain about in every video using it. What happens if I go even bigger, get nice blocky characters? Let's try that again. Miracle of miracles, this board is actually working. It was most likely working when it came out of service. Let's actually change line 30 and make this a 126. They're all printable characters. Save. This is a SIOB. SIOB. Basically, couldn't think of the number of the card just to get this captured. 65 if D is greater than or less than R, then go to 100. Print error and 110 and save this again. AOB.basic, because I'm going to let this just sit and exercise for a while. Oh, that was too easy. Oh, what didn't it like? 7E. 7E does equal 7E. Oh man. Print D comma R. That's interesting. It really did run into an error. Is 126 also not valid? Man, why does TerraTerm keep getting screwed up? Change this to a 5. Will it actually stay in the loop? I'm not sure why that one character print R comma D, it read a 125 and there's a 126. Oh, I know why this is happening. 80 needs to go back and run the loop again, otherwise it falls out the bottom of the program. Save it once again. And this is a good enough test. This should just now loop and keep looping. So wow, pretty easy. You know, I got the card for a reasonable price. Cheaper would of course been better, but it was under $100, including shipping. Still too much, but for a card of this vintage, and to actually have it sitting here on my computer working is really cool. I know I've gone like 2 different directions already for the serial card for the TTY device, but I do believe this is going to become the actual serial card for the TTY device because it's an actual MITS card. The only real issue here is this is a TTL level card, and I'm going to have to do something to translate to EIA levels. You know, that little card that was added on here was really meant to do that. We've got a minus 12 volt supply on the board already. I have to add in plus 12 regulation. You know, that little board might actually be enough to make this work if I just cleaned up the way it was mounted. It's really, I think, minus 12 and plus 3 are sufficient. Although honestly, a lot of modern RS-232 ports will work just with TTL level signals. It's good enough that it reads them as zeros and ones. So it's something we'll have to test. This keeps being too easy. Pretty happy with this. Guess this is a short video. Amazing to see this UART over here. And swing the other camera around and to see that UART from the 12th week of 1976 actually operating. Keep my finger out from in front of the lens. There's the card, operational in the machine. So pretty cool. I guess with that, I will wrap this video up, and we'll talk soon.